Welcome everybody to another Voice of Nick show. We're doing more of our Posthomerica illustrations, and we're kind of just we're in a mode here where we're doing the finalized line art for the picture. So we're gonna see if we can just take it one step at a time and essentially redo everything we did when we were sketching it all out, but we're gonna do it, nicely this time. So let's do it. And it doesn't have to be, the lines don't have to be exactly straight, but I would like for them to be at least mostly straight. All right. Let's turn off our guides for a second and we'll do that one human figure. No, maybe it's more of just like we had it, like this. Okay. I guess since we already have the guides turned off, we can do more of these humans first. Okay. Yeah, we might as well do all of them now. Well, no, because not the ones that are on structures that aren't built yet. Because we don't want to, put a guy in there and then it turns out, whoops, he's, removing the thing that he's standing on. It makes more sense to do that later. So we're going to custom do all of the warriors that are sitting in the Trojan horse this time instead of copy pasting them. There's not that many of them, and I think it'll give it a little bit more of like a hand-drawn feel. Yeah, that's better. I'm glad we were able to get this style in to at least one of the illustrations because it's a really unique looking style that not a lot of people even really think of when they think of Greek art. When you think of Greek art, you're thinking it's like a big hero in frame who's like stabbing another guy or whatever. Like Greek art usually looks, you're thinking of this. Like two big figures, like a little bit of background, or it's like this where it's like red figure technique on a black background. But you don't usually think of this, which is called the geometric style, which existed, it's like ancient, even for ancient Greece. It's sort of before they had their other pottery techniques figured out. And I think this works really well for the Trojan horse because it symbolizes the scaffolding and construction of the thing really well. They sort of look like the, now that I'm thinking about it, I can't get it out of my head, that they look like the silhouette of a droid from Star Wars Episode 1 with the like triangular heads. Maybe Lucas was influenced by these, I wouldn't be surprised. If you ever watch George Lucas's like sort of scholarly analyses of his stuff, like an actor's studio thing or a filmmaker's studio thing, he has really very sort of informed cultural influences for his stuff that I never really knew about. Besides just like Darth Vader's based on like a samurai or whatever, like really, really, very enlightened stuff. He's a really smart guy. And they did take, I believe the pod race in episode 1, as it turns out, is a shot-for-shot recreation. My understanding is it is actually shot-for-shot recreation of the chariot race from Ben-Hur, which is Roman history, but, you know, approaching the same subject matter. Great. Okay, good. Let's actually fix his arm here. Let's make a really tall guy here. And then the shortest guy is in this little squat area. Good. Okay, so now we have all the Greek guys sitting in the horse. Now let's move back onto architectural stuff. We'll get the tail in there, I guess. Okay, so we're gonna change, this had like a sort of Japanese flag design before, but we're gonna change it to be the same as the main up top, where this is sort of going straight, and then the only part that sort of sunbursts outwards is going to be this connecting section, same as this, yeah. And we're just taking our time. The final line art is important because that's what people are actually going to see, and it's just a matter of doing very slight revisions and mostly just essentially tracing the design we had made already, but better and more clean. So if we rush it, it'll be no better than having just used the rough drawing as our main picture. Okay. Let's move on to the next piece here. So we'll go from the bottom, I guess. And it doesn't have to be that the lines are exactly straight, because we want it to feel like it was made by, an ancient hand, which did not necessarily have like computers, or definitely didn't have computers. It did not necessarily even have like fancy tools to do the job. And especially because you got to remember that on all this pottery, they're drawing on a curved surface. So it's like, we have it easy because we're just making a picture that's a flat rectangle. But they had to depict this stuff on a very, difficult vessel that it's going to sit on. And a lot of times that means that things are skewed in ways that you might not even get if they were painting something like on a canvas or, paper or whatever. Good. And let's just make a little ending point here for the design. Good, I guess we'll do it. Oh, we don't need to do it here. Okay, so now, all right, here's what we're gonna do. We are going to put a dot everywhere that there will be a converging line. We can lose the guides for this because it's only going to distract us. Whoa. Then we will put on the original layer and we're using that dot as a guide so that these like downward arrow shapes are always you know, lined up, because it's very hard to, you know, as we found when we were doing it in the test drawing, when you have to do like 100 of these repeating shapes, it's really hard to keep the things regular. And again, we don't want them to be overly regular, like as if they were designed in Illustrator or something. We do want it to have like a hand-painted look. But, you know, this is the kind of thing that they could have done on their own stuff, is like have a little guide like this. In Greek art, I mean. Good, yeah, looks great. So we'll just keep doing that all the way down. Actually, we'll lose a couple of these so we know the distance we want to do. What we will probably do is take the right border and duplicate it on the left, because there's no reason to redo the work for that. If I was smart, I even probably would have put these lines on a different layer and duplicated them after I had made like 30 of them or whatever, but whatever. So if I was really, really smart, I would realize that I could still do that with these new triangles that we're making. Okay, now let's duplicate it. And then 1, 2, get rid of the guides. Just delete that. Now this whole thing is on a layer. We'll lose the parts that intersect with the wheels. And then we're gonna duplicate this. And flip it. And then, well, I guess we're saving it. And then we'll go and put this on the left. Good. And I guess this one reaches a little further down than the other one. Okay, great. Now we'll put all these borders in a group of their own. Okay. So now we keep going. It'd be nice to get this whole wall section. Let's lose the border or the guide for a sec. Yeah, that looks straighter than what we had. Sometimes you could see here that the guide is not straight because we were just roughly drawing it. So we gotta see past the guide layer. Yeah. I should probably, let's just grab this too. Oops. That's gonna get me in big trouble one day. I keep saying it. I don't know how to not have it happen. The fact that that draws lines like that when I don't want them is really gonna get us in trouble. So we're putting this guide, or rather this wall, on a different layer so that we can, just so we can move the whole right side element if we wanted to during this process a little easier. The guides actually make it harder to do a straight line when you're like looking at them and trying to do a straight line despite what the guides are telling us. So maybe we should turn them off more often. Yeah, it looks pretty much right. It doesn't have to be exactly right either. Like, we don't have to like check if it's a 90-degree angle or something, because again, we're trying to make it look like it's hand drawn, which ultimately means that it would not be perfect. But we want to put enough care into it that it's looking the way we want it to look. Of course. Okay, good. So we have multiple different design concepts here. First, we're just gonna make our little, dots in all these spots where the scaffolding touches each other, which I guess would be bolts of some kind. Now we'll do this, and maybe we'll do the same idea for, so let's turn this off. In order to space it out properly, we will put dots, and then we'll put dots here. And this will help us to draw our diamond shapes more uniformly. So let's not even turn on the guides because we don't want that to influence what we're doing. See, this one we need to change a little bit. Good. Now we can turn this off. Oops, not that. Yeah, using these dots to get our designs made, you can see how much more uniform this set of diamonds is than the one that we drew before. And again, it's not an exact set, which I love as well. It still does look like it is imperfect, but it's just less imperfect than the other one was. Okay, so let's do something similar here. How do we want to do this one? Let's draw a dot at least where the end is going to be. And we'll duplicate these. So that they're matching, and merge this. And I think it's slightly crooked, so let's fix that real quick. Actually, the best way to do this would just be to put the dots here and then move them down afterwards. That would like guarantee that they're equal. Okay, so now we will draw our squares. Yeah, it's working pretty well. Now where does this exist here? It's on this layer. I don't want it to be concave like that. Okay, what is our guides? Okay, we had that design in there. Maybe we'll try something else though. Oh yeah, this we don't need anymore. Actually, we will do it. Let's try 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I like that. I want to get it thinner though. I'm trying in all these pictures not to change the brush size, to give it kind of like a, I don't know, like a uniform look. I'll press more lightly with the pen, which will change the actual size of the stroke. But I'm not like going into huge detail with like a tiny little brush and then switching to a big brush or whatever. I think that gives it a particular quality. I don't know if it really does, but that's the way we're doing it. Okay, good. I guess we could just copy this. Oh, he copied the wrong thing. Okay, that's right. Take this, copy. Duplicate that one. So you can see that our squares are not exactly identical because we have to adjust this triangle thing to fit in it. And I think that's cool. This snapping, I hate this snapping. Cool. All right, let's merge these. Get rid of that. All right. Let's also do this real quick, just so that the edges match up at least. Yeah, that's better. And we'll merge this into the main thing. We don't want to have a million layers. All right, so now, one thing I want to do that's like a sort of macro scale thing is that we have this checkerboard pattern, which I think works. I think it works pretty well, and I would like to see. It either needs to be that there's more of these patterns or that we break this one up so that there's less of this one. And I can't decide which to do. What if we did this pattern a second time, this one? Let's try that. Okay, yeah, that might cut down on the amount of checkering that we have. Let's turn this off for a second. Yeah, I like that. Okay, we'll merge this in. And we'll do the checkerboard in this smaller section. And then this is the other conspicuous pattern because it only occurs once in the whole picture. And I don't think that really, I don't like that. So, similar issue with that. So we'll either remove this and put something else in, like maybe this pattern again, or we will put this pattern in more places. I don't yet know where those places would be. Maybe this would go here? No, it's too... Here's the thing, there's one, these two have the same design in them, and then this one is different. Maybe each of these three has different patterns. So it could be that maybe okay, this is the thing. 1, 2, there's only 2 gears and they would be on the top. And this one would not. Let's go into this and we're just gonna make a little kind of note. Actually, we don't have to make a note, we could just change the picture. Instead of this design, let's put something else there. Such as this one, recurring. First of all, let's just change that because it hurts my eyes. Now we're going to take this. From here, copy it, paste it here, and we'll, I don't want to delete that in case we end up using it, so we'll just black it out, or in this case, white it out. Something's going on with my iPad screen here. What the heck? Maybe it's my pen tip? I don't know. Okay, so we whited this out, then we're gonna put this in. Let's see how we like that. Yeah, I think that works a lot better. It's like the 2 gears, whatever these things are, controlling some kind of machinery, or maybe they're like symbols or flags or something, who knows. But this feels a lot more balanced, that it's only on the top and it's not in this random spot. And then it also solves the fact that that only appeared once in the whole picture. Like, I don't think any of the designs should only appear once. Unless they're, you know, very eye-catching designs like the horse itself or something. The repetition is what makes it sort of blend into the background, and the things that don't repeat, like the little guys working on the structure, or the this one little row of like soldiers going in, like those are the ones that your eye goes to. And obviously the horse, your eye goes to the things that aren't repeating and tightly packed like that. And that's what we want. So now let's turn off the thing, and we're gonna make our little checkerboard pattern. Okay, we gotta turn our guides back on. And we won't worry about going outside the lines here because we have this on a different layer. Let's make sure of that, yes. Why is this all chalky looking? There you go. Okay. I can't get it to go straight. Okie dokie. Now we can delete the parts that go outside the lines because the rest of it we're not gonna go any further outside the lines with the rest of the design. Okay, let's just move this around, make sure there's nothing else. Good. It looks like there's something on the left. What did I do? I masked it. Yeah, you can tell because the bounding box forms around whatever exists in that layer. So like you can tell if there's any extraneous marks you made by just seeing what the bounding box looks like. Okay, so let's turn the guides back on. What was the design that we had? Okay, it was literally just a checkerboard. And for this, we would sort of embrace it being partially like little pockets of black or pockets of white showing through or something. Because that's, you know, what it would look like. It wouldn't be perfectly filled. Oops. Okay, great. I wonder why nobody calls it a chessboard design. It's always a checkerboard. So that's done. Now, we can try to get in these things. Those are really hard for me, so we'll pay special attention to that. these like snake patterns, which we have a lot. It's like one of the most common Greek visual motifs. But I have a really hard time with them because it's like you have to do this sort of weird thinking ahead of like where the shape is going. So first of all, we only have to do it once, obviously, because we can, actually we don't need this line. Okay. We'll do a lot of geometric stuff here. Here we go. We'll turn this off. Now, how do we do another thing here? What's the pattern that we're doing? I forgot what it looks like. Okay, so it's like an up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Okay. So for the parts where it comes together like this, essentially you have to match the size of these pillars and these negative spaces. So if we can do this, right? There's no reason that we can't duplicate this. Okay. Now it's hard for me to tell the difference. Okay, well, since this is a guide layer anyway, let's put in a color to differentiate them. So we'll put like this inside of here. Okay, now this is obviously looks really bad right now, but that's because I have a plan. Okay, so that perfectly fits left to right. Now we're gonna merge these. Then, and here's the important part, we're gonna do another thing, and then we wanna have the thickness of the, why is this coming out so weird? We want to have the thickness of the horizontal match the thickness of the vertical. So it'll go like this. Okay, now it sort of looks like railroad tracks. Then if we put these in a group and we turn them into a guide layer and we use this, this should let us, actually we don't want this layer, this should also be part of the guide. Doesn't let me drag it in. Okay. Oh, this is our layer for that, so we'll delete this. This is interesting, though. This could help us do exactly what I'm struggling with. So let's look at our guide one more time. Turn off our new guide. So if we're not going to have a bottom section, maybe we also shouldn't have a top section. So let's, good, we'll turn this back off. Turn this on. We're going to move this down like this. And we'll also where we drew a line here, we're going to draw a line here. Good. Now it looks like I'm totally crazy for doing this because it doesn't look like anything. But if we do it right, this could work. Essentially, we're tracing only the direction of the shape that we want in that instance. But because it's sort of mathematically laid out, we have a guide for how to do it so it fits the picture. We're not freehanding. We're still doing it freehand. We're not like using a, algorithm to do it, but we are tracing a geometric sort of plan. This is gonna work. I'm very glad. So we can use this strategy we just discovered. We can use it on every single snake design in the picture. Yeah, so that comes out with perfect, coordinated designs. And we will save this blueprint so that we can just copy it for next time. We don't have to redraw it on the next instance where that design shows up. I'm really glad I took the time to try and figure this out because this was really vexing me the whole time. Like, how am I going to do this many snake designs and have it look good? Great. Good, so we will we'll put this on the bottom as well. First we should fill it with the inside part, and then we'll duplicate it to the bottom. And then we want to put the gear thing in the center. Circular shapes are really hard for me as well because there's not really a great like Procreate style thing that'll just kind of make a circle for you. And it ends up really lumpy all the time when I do it. So we'll have to come up with some other strategy to make circles. Okay, but this is good. I'm gonna leave the guide on so that I remember what I was doing with this. And that's our picture so far, ladies and gents. The Trojan horse is filled with guys. The lines are straight. The designs are refined now. I'm really excited. I love the way this one's turning out. I thought this was gonna be like the least visually interesting of the pieces, but it's turning out to be one of my favorites of all the ones that we've done, despite all of the other ones being more representational than this one. It's been a fun process. So guys, that's gonna do it. If you wanna see more, don't forget to hit the follow button, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.